Between a Million Ferns with Zach Galifianakis. I have the beard
That
and
would
the.
be cool if he'd be in Second Life
Oh
too.
yeah, we gotta get Zach Galifianakis and Jordan Schlansky into Second Life.
Yeah, just like Dr. Phil, but better.
Oh, I had a big fight with Kiana over the Dr. Phil thing.
Uh-oh.
When did
Why was
she?
that?
Well, they visited me here. I cannot say this on the air.
Uh,
I'll say it to
oh,
you
okay.
later. Oops, we're already on the air. Oh crap.
Oh, okay.
Oops, oops. Open mic.
Tell us all the gossip. That's what people want. That's where the money pours in when you start telling gossips.
No, I know. And I mean, it's
I
just
have
really
seen.
like, Trump also had recently this open mic with the Fox moderators. Oh no, with Morning Joe, where he said, "Okay, you're gonna make me look good, right? When we go, oh yeah." I mean, come on. Uh,
Yeah.
oh God, I almost spilled the beans with an open mic, man. And I thought I was a media professional there. I'm delusional. Arduenn, you're
Yep.
drinking a lot of
But
tea.
no, it's strong coffee.
Oh, I
This.
see. I see. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a quick introduction. We have an amazing one viewer right now, but let's do introductions here. Uh, oops, let me also put this into the group. No, I'm not gonna put this into my group because then people show up and we don't want that. We want the welcome area for ourselves. We want to be
Yeah. For
undisturbed.
ourselves and that guy over there is the fourth
Where?
horse rider of the apocalypse over there. He's death
Oh, yeah, Theta
hovering over
2.
there.
Wait a minute, what's his name?
Let me zoom in.
Theta 2.
My
Arden.
best friend forever, my BFF is called. So I guess death would
Oh,
be a friend.
oh yeah.
He's got a very neat what's that thing on his back?
Skype, I think, is the English word.
Scythe. Yes.
Sichel auf Deutsch.
Uh,
My grand.
Zeis auf Niederländisch.
Ah, that's where you cut the grass. I mean, my grandfather was cutting the grass with this.
Yeah.
Let me do a quick introduction. Torn Differences online, and she used to be. Come here. She used to be Azri Falcon. We do a live stream. I'm just gonna IM her. That'd be cool. But welcome to another installment of the highest rated show in the welcome areas. Um, Sunday brunch with me and Arden. And the concept of this show is simple. We sit here in the welcome area. We're right now at Ahern, which is the world's most non-densely populated welcome area on the grid, I guess. Good morning, Arduenn.
Hello, good morning.
You're
It's
drinking a lot of.
yeah.
D d
Yeah, it's earlier than last week, right? It's 10
right.
a.m. in the morning.
But I was gonna say your animation seems to be a little stuck.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, this because there's a no script area, and the dirty little secret here is that scripts do work above 80 meters.
Damn.
So I was wearing the cup and the saucer. It's
I see.
psychological. It keeps me awake watching myself drink coffee.
I see.
But the dirty little secret is that I have to fly up 80 meters, and I just happened to fly up with my arm raised.
So
I'm
that's
just gonna
true.
sit here like this.
Okay. Uh, so is that true that you like it's the mirror neurons? I mean, I heard that before that
Uh-huh.
there was a bunch of reports that people really do lose weight when they eat candy in Second Life because then the cravings are gone.
I wouldn't be surprised at that. Yeah, that
Mm,
there's a lot of things that work between the ears, as we say, psychologically, and that have a real physical effect on us, for
mm,
sure, including our immune system. I think I even mentioned that last show.
that's
You know, if
right.
you believe in God and stuff, and you worship in church or wherever, you
Right,
live a longer and
because
happier life.
Yeah, and maybe he'll show up from last week, because Zakaria, I think was his name, and he was talking
Yeah.
about how he saw God. He was in the hospital, and then he got better, and God said, what we hear often, it's not time, you got to go back. And then there was the tunnel, and he wanted to go in the tunnel, but God said, no, 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 tunnel is for later. And then he came
Was kicked
back.
out again.
He was kicked out
Yeah.
the tunnel. He was so looking forward to
Kicked
it.
out of heaven.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so Arden, no offense, but that stuck animation over 1 hour.
Okay, let
No,
me
no. I mean, it's
fly up
conceptual
for a
art.
second.
We're doing
I know you
conceptual
have
art.
OCD. Yes, I have. You have OCD. I'll fly up again for your ease of mind.
That diagnosis is unwarranted, but all right.
I think everyone in SL has OCD.
Yeah, maybe that's the common thing that attracts people. Here we got another guy, Dervish Hinkle. He has a knife, and he's sitting over there. So what we're doing here, Art and I, we're getting together and killing time because we have too much of it. We have nothing to do. We have no lives, and that's why in the morning we check in with each other, and we hope that maybe a noob or two will join us here at the table. I should go.
It's too bad that Mr. Death over there
He,
isn't on voice
right, he's on voice.
because.
That would be cool
But
because
Derv and Aroha, can you hear us? Let me
or
see how far are.
Aroha 22 is editing her appearance,
Uh-huh.
and
Oh, she's very new too.
oh yeah,
8 days.
oh
No
man.
wonder. I would do that too when I was that young. Edit
Send,
my appearance.
hey Art, send her a private message if she wants to join us at the table and tell us about what it is, how it feels to be a noob. That'd be cool.
Okay,
Uh,
let me
meantime,
see.
meantime, let me just. Oh, we got 2 viewers. That's amazing. It's just our ratings are through the roof. So, Art and I both wear this shirt, right? It's the new Drax merch item. I want to believe. Okay, so this is something where we might get sued by the X-Files estate.
Live dangerously, right?
We want to live dangerously. In the back, it says hashtag the Drax is out there. You can pick up this shirt on the Drax merch store, and then wear it proudly, and then take photos, and then post them on social media and stuff like that. And you're supporting the show. You're supporting the podcast. You're supporting the video series, which is very, very labor intensive to produce. And this merch is like a pledge drive in America, Arduenn. Of course, in Europe, you don't know this. You have publicly financed media, and in
Yes.
America, you kind of don't. It's a little complicated. There is a fixed amount of money that public television gets, but they also need to go on the air twice a year and beg for money. Basically saying, if you like this program, you can subscribe, and you can pay, um, and so that's how it works. And then you become a member of your radio station or your television station, and you support them with your money, and then you get a little token, usually a tote bag or a shirt or something or a book, and that's kind of what we're doing. Okay, there was some dude coming here, Alexander Ambrosio. But anyway, people will show up. So, oops, Ardenn's voice crashed. Oh boy. Oh boy. And people in the chat, people in the stream, please identify yourselves, who you are with your name. And anybody here in the welcome area wants to join me and talk about stuff, please come. And here's Arden. He's back, and he has no pants on. Here he is. He has pants on. Okay, cool. I should not go around with the camera so much. Torn Difference is on. I'm trying to get her over here. Arden has to fly up. Okay. Oh, people are coming in the welcome area. That was a comment Arden, some people made last time. Oh, he still has no voice. Is the voice crashed all over the region? No. This noob over here still has voice. Yeah. Okay, so while Art is getting ready, let me just say that, oh, maybe I should... Wait a minute, this dude was here last time. Orch was here last time. Hey, man. You were here last time.
Yay, I can hear you again.
Cool.
Okay.
If anyone wants to join, please put voice on. Oops. Okay. Now, oops. Orch is...
Oh, they're gone again. I remember Quirk from last time.
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
monkey.
yeah. Yeah, he was here. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about this week and what happened. Arduenn, what did happen? What happened for you in Second Life? Is there anything that stood out? Anything strange or crazy happening? Or are you just
No, I can
working
only
on the
tell you what I
Warbucks?
missed. There was an exposition, an art exposition, by one of my absolute favorite artists. His name is Broek, which is
Gakkenbroek.
it means sort of poopy pants, I think, in English.
Yeah,
I'll
right
type
here.
it in local chat, and so you can copy and paste it in the stream, maybe. And
Gakkenbroek.
he is yeah, he takes snapshots for as a hobby, and
Yeah.
he's a great artist. He makes politically engaged cartoons.
Oh, really?
He makes them all. He collects stuff in Second Life, mostly freebies, which is well, is the way to go in SL for most people.
Yeah.
It's one of the goals in life here. And he assembles everything, and he makes stuff that sort of reflects everything from over the week. He lives in Belgium, in Wallonia, and he takes snapshots from Second Life and he puts them on Flickr.
But with
And
a
he's
real
got
life,
some-
so he has a Flickr page, and that's a real life context. So he's making statements about real life political things, or
Yes, everything in the news, and they're sort of on the edge too. So
that is awesome.
he likes to.
I've
And I
never
missed
heard of
it,
him.
unfortunately. It's he's quite well known. He's got a lot of viewers, and but of course, SL's big.
Yeah.
And I'm really I need to visit that later today. His expo opened, and I hope it's still all up there.
I'm looking at the Flickr page. This is quite amazing. He has some really crazy avatars that there's one that says God died yesterday. It's obviously Lemmy from Motorhead. An amazing avatar here with wings in front of a
Yeah.
Union Jack flag.
He's really on top of the news. Some stuff I don't keep up with everything, but he does.
My oh my! I'm gonna paste this into the YouTube chat. This is really cool. So he uses Second Life as his canvas to...
Yeah, and he's a political cartoonist, you might
Right.
say.
I mean, this is quite something where Second Life is uniquely... I mean, this is just the greatest canvas on Earth.
He responds very quickly to all things happening and say, "Oh look, talking about politics. I think there's another monkey called Quoth.
Oh yeah?
He's during a political statement too. Oh,
What is he
he
doing?
just
Oh.
he was crossing the sim borders, but here he is again.
Oh, here's a
He's
monkey
not on-
with a sign.
Yeah.
Oh, is he a Trump supporter?
Are you? He's I think quite the opposite. And I although I can't tell.
Wait,
but,
it's not quite
are
rezzing.
you-
Textures is not rezzing of the sign. I see a very out of focus Trump. Let's see. Do you already see it? What's on the board?
Yes, it. I don't want to spoil it though, but it shows Trump on it with a very catchy slogan.
Ah, dumb Trump.
it's,
Okay.
Quoth, are you related to the other monkey who was just here a few minutes ago, by any chance?
Maybe Quoth is the political arm of the other monkey. He's a
A
distant
cousin.
cousin. There we go.
Yeah,
And Dumb
just
Trump.
your old cousin.
Quoth, join us on the table. You don't have to use voice if you don't feel comfortable, but maybe we'll ask you questions and you type them out. And because I want to ask you the
I'm also going to give you a chair and a cup of coffee if you don't mind.
yeah.
Let me see.
We're very inviting. We're very friendly and inviting of welcome area denizens. Tea. He drinks tea. See, I knew it. Monkeys don't drink coffee.
Okay.
That's not good for their nervous system. They get all
Okay,
nervous.
this is. You would like a lump of sugar with that?
Dude, okay, so you have a sign, Dump Trump. A lot of people say Trump. I mean, I think now there seems to be a consensus that Trump is maybe more dangerous than people thought he was. I mean, that's kind of the sense I get, that people who were dismissing Trump just maybe like a few months ago as sort of a joke or whatever, or a talk show that I listened to, the Majority
Stuff is getting
Report,
real.
Sam Cedar used to say that, oh yeah, Trump is gonna, he's just doing it for fun and then he's gonna drop out or whatever. But it seems to be the consensus that he's in there. And
Cove, could you make the sign a little smaller maybe so it'll fit in the screen, because it's hovering 5 meters above me now.
I
Show
see
us
it.
the
I have
blessing
it.
of Second Life and the ability to
Show us
shrink.
no, it should also show us the ability of Second Life to be a place for free expression, at least in the welcome areas.
I understand from the news that the last rallies weren't really going very smooth for Trump. This was one of the first when he was visiting some major cities.
Well,
in the
Arduenn,
West
I mean,
too,
I think,
right?
right. In Chicago, there was a protest, and that was a really great sign of I think, citizen action. But when you say smooth, on the other hand, we saw this guy punch a protester in the face, and then police detaining the protester who kind of collapsed, and you see a type of violence. So when you said the going smooth, I was just gonna say like, oh yeah, from
I love understatements.
From a fascist point of view, it's very smooth.
Yeah, it reminds me of something historically.
It does, yeah, it kind of does. Here's our friend Zakiria is coming back.
Is he online? Did he just?
He's rezzing over there in the corner.
Okay. We should give him a pro-Trump thing.
Is Trump a danger to free speech? Says Quoth, and I hope I don't mispronounce your name. My opinion, coming from Germany, is I don't want to restrict free speech, but there must be a new way to delineate between free speech and hate speech. And I really love America and I've lived there for many years, but sometimes the term free speech is, I think, a little bit abused by some people who just spout hate speech, and there needs to be some sort of I don't know, I mean, people need to be held responsible, right? Because when Trump says every day that some people are not worth living, or they're, this is what Hitler did, the same thing. He said, they're roaches, they're not people. So you dehumanize people, and then people act surprised when somebody punches another guy. Maybe the next thing is, and the guy who punched the protester also said, well, next time maybe he'll be dead, referring to the protesters.
That's what I fear. Well, not immediately the death thing, but Trump started off his campaign fairly tame, but then he had to provoke and utter stuff that would be more and more controversial every time he appeared in the media, and that's just gonna. And I'm just waiting for the day where he's actually going to praise certain historical figures and I think
we're almost there. I think we're almost there.
I don't want to drop Godwin here, but
say again. You don't want to drop.
He just needs to get. Yeah, it's like being a drug addict, and you need more and more intravenous heroin
Yeah.
every time to reach the same effect. Trump needs more and more attention by being controversial, and,
Yeah.
and he's addressed feminism and women and race and now sort of violence.
Yeah.
Greatly veiled too. He never encourages people. Well, actually, he does, but some things are hidden behind words. You have to read between the lines, and people will say, "Okay, you said this. That's outrageous." And he actually didn't really say that. He worded it in such a way you can still go into any direction with that.
Yeah.
So
But wait a minute. But he did say one time. He did say that if somebody beats up someone at his rallies, he will pay for the attorney's fees. Right, the legal fees. That was one thing, and you're absolutely right. It's quite brilliant how he sort of takes things that others say, like, "Oh, I wouldn't say that, but here I'm saying it." Like when he said, this guy. Was Ted Cruz called him a pussy? I forgot already, but he says, "Oh, I wouldn't say that. It's outrageous." No, the woman in the audience called Ruby or Ted Cruz a pussy. "Oh, she used a really bad word. I wouldn't use it." And then he says it over and over and over. It's like me saying, like, "Ooh, I saw two people in the street having sex. I wouldn't talk about it, but let me tell you all the details." I mean, it's insane. It's like.
Yeah, to me that's
oh my God, I gotta tell you a story. In third grade, we had a guy who exposed himself in front of the class. So this is a true story. Yeah. So he just went on the table. There was no teacher in there for 5 minutes, the transition between classes. So he went on the front desk, pulled his pants down, and took his wiener out. And people were screaming and like,
was this biology class? Or
no, so this really happened, and then I mean, this is so unrelated to Trump now, but I have to think of it. And then the assistant principal came in after everything calmed down. He was wheeled away, probably into a cell, or I don't know. No, he appeared the next day. But then the vice principal came in and said, "Okay, children." And now that I think of it, he was the creepiest guy with a beard. Just like my avatar, almost. He came into the class and said, "Okay, children, I need to know exactly what happened. So what happened? He took his wiener out, right? Tell me all about it."
He wants to hear every little detail.
And I swear to you, I know that sometimes we misconstrue memory. Memory is faulty, but I have a friend who was in third grade with me, and he remembers this exactly the same way. That it was super creepy that this guy came in and was really pressing the children to recount this thing that they were so embarrassed of.
Yeah, like. Yeah. Where was this? Where did you go to school? In the US or in Germany?
In good old Germany. There's not everything is.
Okay, so it was in centimeters. You had to tell the details in centimeters.
Okay, but enough of that. Let's talk about Trump. So I want to ask you: do you think? And I'll shut up and let you explain this from your scientific point of view. Because you said, we see Trump. Like you said, he's increasing the language. It's really like a drug addict who is not content with certain things. He's doing more and more of the outrageous stuff. But do you think why is he doing this? Is he just a complete narcissist and wants to win, or is he seriously concerned? Hitler, the consensus is that he was just really crazy in the sense with the nationalism. He really did believe that, which was ultimately his. He was destroyed by the crazy belief that the Aryans are the master race or whatever. But I don't get the sense that Trump really believes this stuff. I really think that he's just doing this to win, or some kind of game for him, which maybe is even more dangerous. What do you think?
You don't know what Trump's real convictions are, other than winning, abstract things like that. Winning, earning money, running a business. I think, you have to keep in mind all the good things he wants to do too. Like he wants to provide. He wants to be a provider. He wants to generate jobs. He wants to build stuff.
That's right.
So, that's all positive.
It's like Hitler. Not all
but
he
yeah,
did was
the
bad.
game
He built the
aspect.
Arduenn.
I think he's very flexible. He is shown to be flexible by changing his opinions and minds all the time.
That's right. And actually, some people would actually say the opposite. I heard that also expressed, that he's toning down the message because he's realizing he can't be too outrageous. But I disagree. I think it goes back and forth. Sometimes he tones it down a little bit, but then 2 seconds later, just like a child, like a 10-year-old, he's reasonable.
I believe Ben Carson, when he says that there's two Trumps, one is in the media when he speaks out his mind and tries. He's very good at appealing to the masses by saying stuff that needs to be said, unquote, and so that's sort of a stage play to me, and I really wonder how genuine he is, because he changes his mind a lot of time. He changes opinions on the theater scene a lot of time, and at the same time, there's this other Trump, as Ben Carson said, who's really very cerebral. Now, Ben Carson's really very cerebral in a particular way too.
Well, he knows the cerebral area very well.
As a surgeon.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the expert on not his own cerebral area, but maybe others.
Yeah. So I believe there's two, and maybe more different Trumps. There's the Trump that needs to speak out in public for the numbers, to get support. So he will just say whatever people want to hear, as long as he gets the most votes as possible, because that's the art of the deal, right? To get as many voters as possible.
Exactly.
And whenever you get those, after that, you just do whatever you want.
And so he believes.
In a way, he's.
Yeah. Let me throw in one thing, because here in the chat on YouTube we have Hate XNX Love. Hate and Love, I guess, is his handle. Says Trump is the Kanye of the political world, referring to Kanye West. That is very funny, because I was accused by my own son that I have a larger ego than Kanye West, which I dispute. But that's a good comment. Okay, but carry on, Arduenn. But you were suggesting that he is basically doing whatever is necessary to win, and does he then feel, do you think, that at the end of the day, when he won, that he can control the masses? Because I think that's where the fallacy is. I think he doesn't understand that he's unleashing, this hate and all that kind of stuff. That there is no way that he can kind of tone this back and then control the masses. And that we've seen in the past when we look in history many, many times.
Yeah. I don't know what his life's goal is. It's to obtain certain things, wealth. That has been his life's goal in the past, and maybe on the good side, provide jobs and to think big and establish things, whether you like it or not. But this is going to be running a country which encompasses a lot more than just gaining wealth and building buildings and casinos and whatever. You're going to have to work together with other countries, and they have to solve conflicts in the world, which, to my opinion, is way out of league for a businessman. I don't think to be the head of state requires far more than just being a businessman.
You said something very important here. Let me jump in here, because I think, though, you're absolutely right, and I agree with you personally 100%. But what I think the climate we're living in, there you see the pitch of politicians that come from the business world, and they kind of resonate, right? You see it in some European countries as well. In the US, you saw it with Carly Fiorina. Says, I'm a great businesswoman. That means I am totally qualified to do this political stuff because I am good in business. And you see it to a lesser extent in some European countries. That is, to me, totally fascinating that people eat that stuff up, because I completely agree with you. It's bizarre to believe.
It's sort of a false analogy, like a tree comparing a whole country and many countries with different businesses.
That's right. It's bizarre. But still, the question is, what does Trump want? Now, my theory is that when you're at a certain level of wealth or success, you get bored with it. And that's almost analogous to what you said earlier with like the messaging. You're a drug addict. You're a drug addict to wealth, and wealth is power. And then you got the wealth, and you go like, okay, what's next? Wait a minute, I could run
So
this
sort of
country.
chasing, yeah, it's
Chasing
actually,
the
there's
fix.
a name to this drug too, and it's simply called adrenaline. You get an adrenaline rush every time for the kick. It's like going into a roller coaster. This is what drives businesses,
You're
basically.
right.
So there's me
Zakaria,
being a
or a friend from.
biologist, right?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that was me being a biologist, right? I really have to project everything onto a biology point of view.
Right.
Very much like Trump probably does by
And
projecting the whole country of the US onto a business, a
but
company point of view.
but as a biologist, I really applaud you, because you are at least open to the idea that there's no answer to the nature versus nurture debate. Because like I told you, when I was in college, I did civil service here in Germany, in a psychiatric
Mhm.
institution, and I was completely like, I was like all 100% nurture, right? I was like, all
Yeah,
mental disorders are due to because your mommy didn't love you, basically, is what I believed back then. My opinion
yeah.
has changed significantly. Um,
There's a politically correctness about this too, of course, the
that's
way
right.
you approach that, because if you tend to blame certain stuff like uh, bad habits or bad characteristics on the genes that you're venturing into the world of racism,
You're
of
absolutely right.
course,
Yeah, yeah. But
and
yeah,
you know,
we have
all
met.
racism is a thing that's not nice, and we have to treat people equal. The
Mhm.
downside, of course, is that there are genetic differences with
Yeah.
people with bad genetic traits and good genetic traits. It's just, yeah,
But it's
what
it's
what you
it's it's
do
a
about
matter
it.
of right, but it's a matter of just being reasonable in the messaging. For example, there was, and I forgot when that was coming out, but milk is bad for African Americans, and I can't tell you the reason, but milk has.
Oh, I can't.
You can, okay, but then
Yeah,
our three listeners will drop to one because your explanation will last.
yeah.
No, please, yeah.
It's in the genes. That's what I will tell you.
Right, right. So of course, but this has also political implications, in the sense that the racism in the United States, for instance, and the systemic racism and the systemic sort of dismissal of issues, right? I mean, police brutality being the most obvious, but also systemic racism in the sense that African Americans were not allowed to accrue wealth because of housing policies. I mean, there's really tons of interesting stuff that I learned when I lived there, with housing, with schooling. But now, milk is
Uh-huh.
promoted in the American school system. I mean, the got milk thing,
Yeah.
and I don't know how
Oh,
it is in
quite
Germany.
similar to here.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it really?
We
Oh, I
used to
didn't know.
have school milk when I was in primary school,
That's
first,
insane.
second grade.
And when
Yeah.
you're looking back at it, the propaganda from the industry, like, oh, this is absolutely important for your bones and stuff like that. You better drink it. And then they
Yeah.
put even chocolate milk in there, and it's insane, right? I mean, it's almost like there's no difference to me promoting this stuff in school, like, or saying Nutella is good because it.
And it's very unscientific too, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course, there's always a single party who benefits from all that.
Yeah.
If you
And
allow me my conspiracist tangent. Go
no,
on.
please. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that you have
Yeah,
that
it's just
tendencies.
it's an industry, the milk producing industry,
Yeah, but
right?
see, but look, Arduenn, see, I think that this is not a conspiracy, because I mean, you're self classifying yourself a little bit here now, but I would argue a conspiracy theorist is someone who believes that 9/11 was an inside job, but someone who says a company is there to make money and really doesn't care about people dying along the way. That's not a conspiracy. That's just capitalism, right?
That's been hard. It's been a hard fact that there are many instances when companies don't care about population's health, but
Yeah.
rather more about the numbers. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Look at Flint, the water crisis in the United States. Look at
yeah,
Porter Ranch in the LA neighborhood where I used to live. The methane gas leak is going on for I don't know, half a year now, and people don't really care. I mean, it's interesting because Porter Ranch is an affluent neighborhood, so I know that some Americans would say, "Look, they're not. It's not only against poor people." Well, it's about the bottom line. PG&E did not really look at those pipes for decades, and they go like, yeah, what the fuck, I don't have to kind of improve the infrastructure as long as I make dough. In Flint, Michigan, the fact that they wanted to save a couple $1 million and pumped
it cost them a lot more eventually, right?
exactly, but they pumped water. This is to me so obvious that they made a decision, say, hey, this water is for poor people. Who cares? Right? They don't have
Yeah,
a place at the table, so let's save some money. And yeah, in the path of the saving the money, God, this is becoming a real political show now, which is awesome, Art. I want to read three chats here because we got Medhu coming into the chat. He's always very vocal. I respect Medhu. I think we disagree on a lot of stuff, but I respect him highly. Medhu says, all right, Medhu says Flint was caused by the government. Right. I don't
the
know
the
what.
water, the drinking water
Right,
debacle, right?
right. If you want to make money, killing your customers is a bad business model. We have to have Medhu on here and talk about neoliberal stuff and
Yeah,
I mean,
it is bad. But everything is. There's this guy, a French guy, whom I admire really much, and he formulated some sort of law called
hmm
"Everything is Everywhere."
hmm
I mean, there are businesses who are good for their customers
hmm
to ensure continuity, so they're sort of okay, and then there's just businesses who will feed off their customers as a
absolutely,
parasite.
absolutely.
They're both there.
You know what, Medhu? I'm sorry, but the EPA has been defunded by the neoliberal people who colluded, the government officials who colluded with businesses in order to defund it. The reason why this stuff is happening in America and not in Germany or other European countries is because regulatory agencies are being basically cut off. Their limbs are being cut off. They cannot respond. And why is that? It's because to facilitate business and to facilitate capitalism. That's the main reason. They don't suck. These are very hardworking people. But if you have like a bunch of people trying to control huge businesses, of course they're gonna fail. That's exactly what
Uh-huh.
Reagan said. We gotta make government so small so we can drown it in a bathtub and becomes a foregone conclusion. I mean, Medho, I respect you, but this is so obvious. And then Nestle, they let Nestle pump water, 200 gallons a minute or something like that, and sell the bottled water. I mean, th-
For 1,000 times the cost price.
Medho, I'm talking to Medho on the stream here in YouTube. Medho, you're a smart guy. You, this is so super obvious what's happening. Um, I don't know. Why do you have to poison your own people? I really don't get it. Anyway, oh, sorry, Hate and Love says also in the chat, to be entirely honest, it's odd that a rich white man is talking about the minority. Absolutely. Whether he likes it or not, America looks so different than what he used to. He needs to realize it. This is something. Let's talk about this real quick because I find this fascinating, Arduenn. I want to have your take on it. Um, why do you think in America, and I think in Europe it's a little different. In America, it seems to me that rich people appeal to poor people, and that I never understood. I've been there so long. I don't understand
They
why.
appeal to poor people in what sense?
Well, why is Trump a rich man who comes from wealth? Why do people
Uh-huh.
who have absolutely nothing
Oh,
are
you mean the poor people like him.
Why?
In that
Why do they
sense,
like
yeah.
him? Why do they eat up his message? My answer is, and I'll be very brief. I want to have your European
Uh-huh.
take on it. What I understood living there is really, I think the American populace is so delusional that they think they can really make it. So from the whole dishwasher to millionaire kind of thing. So I think that American
Yeah.
dream type delusion has been planted firmly into people's heads that they really go like, oh yeah, I'm totally for Trump. Oh yeah, of course he's rich and I'm
I
totally
don't
poor.
think it's consciously done, though.
Yeah, it's
It's
emotional. Yeah,
just something that had been developed over the course of time, because America has, ever since it was colonized by the Brits and other peoples, it was always a new land for a new slate, and then with the industrial development, it became a land of opportunities.
that's right.
Well, from rags to riches, and which does appeal to everyone, and it just pervades throughout the ages, throughout the decades and the centuries.
You're absolutely
even
right.
to
In that
now.
sense,
So
that's where how it was founded. You're absolutely right. It was founded like that. The myth is so pervasive, but it's not. But it hasn't been true for a very long time. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, this is the origin myth, but why is it so powerful? I mean, I can prove to you.
why are soap operas? To me
Yeah.
personally, this whole campaign thing, not just the Republicans, Democrats, Independents, it's all like a soap opera on TV, and people like soap operas. They're tremendously popular. So.
Yeah. I would, for the record, I would have to say that you gotta really. There's a stark contrast between the GOP debate and the Democratic debate because Bernie and Hillary, they talk. I mean, this is so obvious. These are adults who talk about issues. Yeah, they clash and stuff like that, but they talk about issues, and then the Republicans talk about penis size. I mean,
Yeah, I can imagine though that
it's third graders
talking
versus.
about hand size and whatever is way more interesting to listen to than and people love a good fight too. There
It's
was
true.
this, I think even Trump himself just revels in all this happening. This is he's secretly he's got the biggest smile on his face ever. Whenever there's some good punching going back in the
Yeah,
back
but
of the rally room.
I understand, but we're watching operas while Rome burns. We're not even playing the fiddle anymore. I mean, this is way too intellectual. Playing the fiddle while Rome burns. We're now watching
But the
soap operas.
consequences are
The consequences
these
are
have
huge.
consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, let me remind folks, the time is flying here. We're having a great conversation, although nobody is engaging here in the noob area. I mean, is this a sign?
I mean, Felix Dzerzhinsky is a little quiet, but I think he can hear us. Oh, I
He's
mentioned
gone.
his name, and yeah,
Poof,
I
he's gone.
just scared him away. Yeah.
Did you send a message to Theta 2 artist? Theta 2? He's not on
Oh,
voice.
I didn't. I think I was when I was about to
Oh no,
crash.
it doesn't
on
matter.
the,
I was gonna say, so what we're doing here, you're listening or you're watching Sunday European Brunch with Drax and Arduenn, of course, because it's European Brunch. We're all communists and we just want to give free stuff away.
and have him wholesome. Oh yeah, but we didn't
Right.
mention what we were eating yet, right? Are you having breakfast, brunch?
Yeah. Actually, I'm drinking my socialist brand of communal harvested black tea in a
Okay, fair trade.
right. It's in a exactly. It's fair trade, which is inherently
Very
anti-capitalistic.
PC.
I know. It's
I'm
really.
just having chocolate eggs.
Oh, are they made by slave labor in Africa from Milka?
Actually, you shouldn't have said that. I'm gonna leave them now.
Leave them
Thank
because
you
I
for
mean, Milka.
spoiling my breakfast.
Milka and Ritter
Yeah.
Sport, they're and others, Nestle, I think too. They're employing some severe slave labor. I heard a story. They have 13-year-olds working on the cocoa plants.
Yeah, yes. Actually, I have to add to that. It's not just those big companies. It's virtually all. There's not a single chocolate producing company that can claim that all of their cocoa's been slave free. Although there's one guy who really tried, and he still cannot guarantee it. But they're producing and promoting their chocolate to be slave free, as slave free as possible.
Oh my God! And as I said, it Medhu is posting in the chat. I can't read it, Medhu. I'm getting too distracted. But he's like the second after I said it, I think he posted fair trade is anti-capitalism. There you go, Medhu. You're right. I mean, we should enslave 13-year-olds because that is good old capitalism. I mean, if they want to work, right? I mean, they get. Otherwise, what would these 13-year-olds do? Go to school and learn all shit, learn all stuff, and of course, we need cheap Milka chocolate. I completely understand.
It's also valuing certain people above other people.
Exactly. How can we value these African kids while we don't have anything to eat? Come on. Right. So let that nonsense slide. Uh, where was I going? Oh yeah, we're doing Sunday European brunch, and you can pick up. Yeah, we're communists to some extent, Arduenn and I. But on the other hand, we also want to sell T-shirts, right? So let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
sales. Arduenn made a really cool T-shirt. It's the "I Want to Believe" art, which is slightly stolen from a poster that you can see in the X-Files in Scully's Mulder's office. And Arden did some really awesome art. The original drawing of my caricature is from Nylon Pinkney. This shirt retails for
Yeah.
$1.99, and you get a male version, you get a female version, you get a shoulder-free female version on Marketplace. Go to Marketplace right now, and since I'm just pretending I am a communist, I'm going to type you the URL to the Marketplace in here. In reality, I just want to enslave people in my communist scheme, and then
It's a beautifully crafted shirt.
yeah, it's beautifully crafted by a sweatshop of 13-year-olds that over the weekend while they were on break from on the cocoa plants were putting this together because if you slack off on the weekend, I mean that's the end of the system. You can't have that. Um, Yeah. So pick it up right now because this makes this show happen. This makes everything happen. The merch needs
And
to
don't
flow.
forget to, yeah, don't forget to grab that baseball cap that goes with it too.
All right. But see, but you don't have the
But yeah.
official baseball cap. I mean, this is the official baseball cap that you
Oh,
also made.
yeah, this one's from my store. Sorry,
This is a
that
good
Drax.
baseball cap, but Arden, don't forget we want to make a lot of money. We want to win. And the other baseball cap is more expensive. Please put it on to show people. The other baseball cap is more expensive, therefore we get more revenue. Here you see Arduenn without a baseball cap. He looks like Jordan Schlansky from the Conan O'Brien show, as evidenced in the in the A/B comparison on my last video. And we have a lot more viewers now that we're about to wrap up in 5 to 8 minutes. If anybody other than, and then I know Medhu, you're very vocal. If anybody else on the chat wants to introduce themselves or ask a question or wants us to respond to
Maybe you can
something,
just log in quickly too and then say hi on the screen.
right? You actually could. I mean, usually I would encourage the noobs to come in, but the noobs are not. The noobs don't want to come in. So here's
Yeah.
the hat that you can also pick up. Make Second Life great again. A hat made by Arduenn. It's available in the Drax merch store on Marketplace. And of course, this is a slogan that was originated by one Donald Trump. Of course, we're just sort of pretend Trump supporters. In reality, 100% of the revenue from this hat goes to Bernie Sanders for president. That's how we communists are. We're sneaky, right? We pretend like, oh, it's all good.
Yeah,
We're all in the same boat and we love each other. But then
becoming
again,
European.
yeah, you're right,
Did
Arjun.
you? I don't know how is it in Germany? There's a liberal party in Germany too?
There is, okay, so the German landscape is interesting. There is a libertarian party which spouts the same sort of
Uh-huh.
nonsense that they do in America, like, oh, jobs at
So they're
McDonald's
the
are
right
great.
wing there,
Mm,
the liberals in Germany.
okay, this is my personal assessment. I used to be, and my father is a staunch social democrat, and I used
Uh-huh.
to be very I used to be with the Young Socialists when I was younger, and I know Med who goes like, "I knew it, I knew it." Med who on the chat goes, "I knew that Drax was brainwashed as a young person."
Yeah.
So I was with the Young Socialists, but the big problem with the SPD, which is the Social Democratic Party, they
Yeah.
moved enormously to the right under Gerhard Schröder, really
Yes.
adopting what Clinton was pushing through, the whole free trade and the whole stuff that really kind of killed uh, really big advances that were made after the Second World War. And so the Social Democratic Party in Germany has some important good thinkers, but the overall policy, and they may turn around a little bit. I think they realize that um, the neoliberal scenario that they created has really pushed a lot of people away, because in Germany is exactly almost the same situation as in America, in the sense that the people who lost through globalization, right, in Eastern Germany, people, unskilled
Yeah.
labor, they were left behind. Or Zakaria, who we talked to last week, who is on disability, who worked at a gas station, really nice guy. He goes to Trump, right, because Trump has these solutions as a demagogue. I mean, it's always the same. So in Germany, there's also millions of people who have lost through this sort of neoliberal gutting of social services, and they're now left behind, and all they do, and they go further to the right. And that is very obviously the fault of the traditional labor parties that were.
But what I wanted to
Yeah,
point out about the
go ahead.
term, the phrase liberal, is that that's the left in the US. Well, it's the right. It seems to be the right in Germany. That's how left Germany actually is, apparently, compared
That's
to
true,
the
but
US.
yeah, but there's also the terminology that is kind of a false friend in terms of translating it, because the Americans have libertarians. These are like the
Yeah.
complete nutballs. They say stuff like, we don't need stop signs because that's an infringement of my
No
right as a free
regulation,
signal. Exactly. So
government.
exactly. So that is just so insane that they're I don't even know where to start. That type of
Hmm.
insanity you don't have in Germany. You have it a little bit, but not to the extent like in the U.S. I mean, in the U.S., I literally met people who would say stuff. The fact that there is a zebra crosswalk is infringing on their rights, and the government is
Yeah,
the government.
there's a breach of your
Yeah,
right
sovereignty.
to
Yeah,
decide whether or not you want to run under a car or not.
that's exactly right. Right. I have the freedom to drive against the wall and kill my whole family because the government is forcing me to wear seat belts, and I want to have the right to kind of kill myself by driving against the wall
Yeah,
with my
to my
seatbelt on.
opinion, it's all way too. People say it's way too black and white. Either you're left and everything's controlled by the government, or
Right.
you're right and everything's free. And
Exactly.
of course, it's always the yin and the yang,
Exactly.
yin and the yang, and
Exactly. And
something in between. Because
yeah.
yeah, if it were for absolute freedom and no government control, there wouldn't be any police or hospitals or whatever.
Exactly.
So
You put your finger right on something very important. Because that is really the crux of why it's so counterproductive, the discourse right now in this country, in your country, because it's so like me against, it's a simplistic boxing match, and that's not what it is. It's a push and pull, and it's a complex system. And like Medhu, I'm sorry, Medhu calls me a communist. That's that is just,
it's not that black and white, I'm
it's not that
afraid.
black and white at all, right? For example, I raise my child uh, very much with the values of hard work. So, meaning, if you put in the hours, you will be rewarded at some point by being better at something, right? If it's soccer or if it's violin or whatever it is. So, these are
Yeah.
values that we can agree on. And these are values that I think work in business, they work in interpersonal relationships. But if you leave business unregulated, and hear me out, and then I'll let you talk, Arden. The myth in America is that it's a free market, which it isn't. It's totally subsidized. the government subsidizes industries. They subsidize the corn industry. They make corn and then they put this shit in drinks and everything. The
Yeah.
financial industry is bailed out, and I know Matt, who is already typing up like, yeah, but the
Oh
government is
yes,
doing that. The
the
government bailed
financial
them out.
industry, the banks are the most communist thing in the U.S. ever.
Exactly. So it's basically, they gamble with our money, and then when the shit hits the fan, they get bailed out. So I know people like Med who will now say, well, the government bailed them
Just
out.
like
Look,
many European countries.
it's proof that the government is at fault. And I would say no, not at all. The reason why the government bailed out the banks is because the corporations have such dominance through lobbyists over
The
the
whole
public
society would have
officials.
collapsed if it weren't for bailing out the banks. Actually, that's
But
how deeply rooted they are.
exactly, but really the point here is that politicians are not, uh, in many cases, not out there to plot the downfall of humankind. The lobbyists control politicians. There are people who, and that's because politicians need money to run. And that is slightly better in many European countries, in my mind, because you don't need so much money to run as a politician. That means you're not beholden
If
to
you
the
want to earn
special interests.
money in the US or in Europe, you shouldn't become a politician at all. It's way more lucrative to
Yeah,
just become a business person.
that's why Arnold went over there. Um, sorry, I've
He
just,
already had everything.
yeah, including his father, who was a Nazi police officer, but that's another story.
Oh,
Yeah, but he was just a minor sort of brown shirt beating people up in the street, not like a big function. Had I don't know. Actually, I don't know the specifics. Let's not be. The crazy thing is that Arnold is like the most reasonable Republican I've ever seen, and it's insane.
I
I mean,
think, yeah,
yeah, he's actually pretty
Abraham
good.
Lincoln was a very reasonable man too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's straight from Lincoln to Schwarzenegger. No, but
Yeah,
Arnold is
I think
also
actually the Democrats and Republicans have swapped their whole state of mind over the past century. I think they sort of
true.
switched opinions. It seems
That's true, and
at some point.
yeah, and but it's a fluid thing, and it's so complex. I mean, I really the last 20 years in America, I jot out of my own curiosity because it's so strange when you come from here. I read so many books and I studied history, not exhaustively like a student, but I tried to learn as much as I could about um, some of the things. But you put your finger on it earlier when you said, the whole origin of how the West was conquered in the U.S. The kind of like, I'm my own man, I fight against nature, I can do this, really informs up to this day the conviction that sort of the individual, the rugged individual can do everything. But it's completely bizarre uh, today because we live in a much different society. We live in a complex, dense
The whole world
society.
has become very small because of the way we communicate, and the consequences really have to deal with. We have to take into
The
account
consequence, exactly.
people on the other side of the world. We affect the fate of people on the other side of the world, whether they're happy or not, by buying products that have been produced in a very unfavorable way, for
Exactly.
us, etc.
And
Eating
that's
chocolate, that sort of stuff. That's how we influence the whole course of well-being on people on the other side of the planet.
exactly, and that's why the neoliberal policies of the 90s, Clinton and Schroeder at the time, really basically created Trump, if you will, because it created millions of quote unquote losers, people who lost in
Yeah.
this economic climate. And what comes to mind is also a discussion I often have with sort of free market people, quote unquote free market, because like we established, the market is not free. If it were, it'd be cool. But if the market were really free, then the banks would be totally in the toilet and the auto industry as well. Because if I would gamble around with other people's money and I would lose, then I would be basically a loser. But the point is here, why this stuff doesn't work is when you sit in a wheelchair, right? When you're physically
Mm.
disabled, then there it's we don't have the same starting options. We don't have the same options. I could start a business of teaching people how to run. The guy in a wheelchair
Yeah.
doesn't. So what? So that's what I always tell the libertarians who were like, "Oh, we don't need any regulations and shit." And I go, "Okay, so how about the guy in the wheelchair? Oh yeah, he'll be okay because of private charities." What they then usually say, they go,
Uh,
you want
Actually, it's going that way with
exactly,
other stuff that we take for granted, like
exactly,
police. It's getting more. There are more private aspects to the military already. We've seen
exactly.
that in the last wars with what was it, Blackwater or
Yeah, Blackwater.
was
You're
private.
absolutely right. The privatization, but even more so, the thing is that the wheelchair analogy is also almost a feudal system, right? It's like, okay, back then when there was a king and you were
Uh huh.
sort of like, I don't know, you were not doing too well, the king might throw you some little crumbs.
Uh huh.
I find that problematic then on a larger scale. The wheelchair example is a small example, but on a larger scale, you have, for example, um, Bill Gates, the Bill Gates Foundation, right? So
Yeah.
people say, oh, Bill Gates is doing a lot of really cool stuff because he's fighting polio and he's doing this and that. Now, that's awesome what he does. But there's no oversight to this. And it's basically his little thing. And it's almost like the king decides, hey, I want to fight polio to the exclusion of other things. And I think in a dense modern society, that is just not the way to go forward. That we have one ultra rich
That
guy
certain
who,
things that like healthcare should
yeah,
rely on private
yeah,
people's wealth and
exactly.
their decisions
Their
whether or not
decisions what
to
to
fund.
pursue. Exactly.
But still, if I had that amount of money, well, that's a different topic. I'd be heavily ashamed
Right,
to
because you're a
have
communist.
billions. Well, I'm no, not a communist, just quite happy with what I have. I'm easily pleased, I guess.
Yeah,
I set certain goals in a different way.
and I think that that actually makes for sustained happiness, and that's how I raise my kids. And this is great that you said this. This is a great way to end this. The happiness. I mean, elaborate on this. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, you derive happiness from making something, I would assume, right?
Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
that's the isn't that the greatest? And so you're not depressed if we don't
Absolutely.
sell like a million shirts, right? That doesn't depress you, doesn't keep you up at night.
Oh, absolutely not. If I mean, it's the whole process of producing something and see other people use it and modify it, or just keep themselves busy with it and be happy with it.
Hmm.
That's a reward on itself. And whether it's, well, okay, it would be cool if it would be hundreds or thousands of people doing that. On the one hand, on the other, it's I really don't care
Hmm. Hmm.
if how much money I make out of it. If I can make a living, I mean, if I would make tons and tons of money out of it, what would I do with that? I would have to, uh, make time to spend all that on stuff and spend time on using all that, consuming. And where's the time for making things?
Yeah, but
And
you might
and
like it better. You don't know. You might then just go like, "Wow."
actually, I have the experience. If you have access to more resources, the whole incentive of doing it goes down a bit.
Hmm.
I'm less motivated when there's more resources.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know why that is. Have
That's a
you ever
good point.
noticed that? If
Yep.
you have a crappy computer
Yeah.
with very crappy graphics cards, you tend to be more productive,
I agree a
it
hundred
seems,
percent.
than if you have this big giant rig and all these frame rates and everything. You just yeah, nice. I somehow I don't know why that is. Maybe we can explore that sometime next time.
I agree with you a hundred percent. As a matter of fact, I was just glancing here at Metu. I haven't read all his chat, so I don't want to be uh I don't want to be I don't want to comment on the stuff that I haven't read. But Medho is writing here in the chat, just to let you know, Drax, my son is disabled. Let me comment on this real quick, and then we have to wrap it up. Medho, like I said, I really respect you, and it's great that you're sharing this stuff with me. Let me tell you real quick. My mother was a teacher at a school for disabled kids, um, kids with physical disabilities, also with learning disabilities. This was a school here in Germany, in the Munich area, that was very well funded by the public system, where everybody could go, and they had basically were taken care of with excellent small classes that could cater to them. It didn't cost a dime because it was funded by a tax basically that everybody paid. Everybody paid this tax that the schools would exist. Obviously, 99% of the people who funded these schools for kids with disabilities, here's the surprise, they didn't have disabled kids themselves. Now, all the libertarians and right-wingers in the US that say, "Oh, why would I pay for that? That's crazy. The government is taking my money and I don't even have a disabled kid. That's unfair." You know what I think? I think in a society that is dense, you want to create opportunities for everyone. And that's what I don't
Yeah,
understand
but
about.
that's just part of humanity too, right? That
Exactly.
the strong sort of come up for the weak. And that's what
Exactly.
makes a society. There's people who can contribute more to a society, and there's people who can contribute less.
But look, but
But
this is here the difference
we
of.
all want to treat them, yeah.
Yeah, but but the ideologues would say, Art, they would say in nature there is no healthcare. As a matter of fact, the American version of The Office, which was excellent, almost better than the British version,
Uh-huh.
Dwight Schrute said in episode 2, I remember he said, well, in nature there is no healthcare. So,
Yeah,
that's
there is in nature, but well,
well, you get eaten,
there are
right?
many animal species who live in social conditions, who take care of each other. Like there's elephants and primates and whatever. There's plenty of biological examples where there is healthcare in a primitive, non-technical way.
Yeah.
It's just a distinction between, are we solitary animals? We are just animals too from a biological point of view, or are we a group? And
Are we a group?
groups have
Exactly.
benefits. Well, anyway, we're nearing
Yeah,
the
we
end of
gotta
the show
wrap it
too.
up.
So
Matt, who keeps
yeah.
typing here, I would love to get your sense of this. What he just typed. He said, "If government didn't steal so much from me," says Matt, who I could easily take care of my son for the rest of his life with no help. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about, Art. But why doesn't that work? I don't know. We don't have time to
Mhm.
get into it, but Meto, you're welcome, and then I'll give you a communist you're welcome to our communist re-education camp, and I'll explain to you
Yes.
exactly why what you just said doesn't work. And Arduenn, it's a pleasure. I'm sorry I talked too much, and you can step on me, and you can always say, "Shut up, Drax. I want to finish my point. Please be rude."
Next week we're going to go for a non-political thing,
No, I
maybe.
think this is. I don't know. I think this is
I'm
awesome.
going to scan the newspapers and the websites and the news sites and see what's popular. Maybe we should talk about Miley Cyrus. She hasn't been in the news for a long time.
Right, I know. What's
I
wrong with
think
her?
she's
What's happened? Is she sick? Did she have cancer? We need to know this
maybe
stuff.
she got better actually, but oh well.
No, I mean, this
Because
is awesome. We'll play it by ear. This was a really, really awesome discussion today, I think, and people really enjoyed it. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Um, and Medho, let me think about it. Oh, wait a minute. Here, Hate and Love has the last word. Talk about RuPaul's Drag Race. Okay.
okay, we'll look that up.
We're looking it up. We're forming an opinion, so we're gonna study on it, and then we'll
Yeah.
discuss it. Okay.
Okay.
Cutting the stream. Thanks, Arden, and goodbye.
Bye bye, all to all the viewers.